Let's talk about echolalia and autism. There's different types of echolalia, which could be immediate, internal, or delayed. Echolalia is essentially the repetition of words that you've heard from another person. If you are repeating your own words, that is palilalia. What's the science behind this? The part of the brain that is responsible for spontaneous communication in autistic folks is not as strong as it is for neurotypical people. And there's also differences in the parts of the brain that do speech comprehension, Wernicke's area. So sometimes you just need that much more time to process it. You say it again and you process it. Auditory input is often more sensitive for these individuals. So sometimes they'll just kind of store and just repeat. This could also be a stim for somebody who is like completely overwhelmed and overstimulated. The brain does get more overstimulated because the amygdala is more overactive for a lot of people who are autistic. Sometimes we just like want to feel out the words and like feel how they feel in our mouth. More of a stim. Sometimes it's just self-regulating. Sometimes it's just really satisfying. So different types. Immediate echolalia. If I were to ask somebody, do you want to go to the store? They would repeat, do you want to go to the store? Sometimes multiple times, sometimes in a whisper, sometimes loud, sometimes just the last syllable, but it immediately happens right after that person speaks to you. Typically, this is for processing. Delayed would be like if you heard something and then later it's repeating in your head, or you're just like repeating it later and just going off of it later. Could be hours later, could be years later. Then it could be functional or it could be not functional. So functional meaning that you are using a repeated phrase to communicate with someone and to make yourself understood. Non-functional would be more of like you're doing it to stim and it feels good and it's just like satisfying. It might be like repeating a movie quote that you're just like excited about. Like totally no context, totally no like means to like make yourself understood through communication, just like, you know, vibe in it. That could also be like self-regulating and comforting. But oftentimes a lot of this can be like masking. So while it can be comforting for some people, oftentimes echolalia can be like repeating things years later that you are trying to fit into a social situation. So you're using that and trying to mask. Part 3 is going to be unmasking.